It's Mike. Been doing a lot of research over the years, so I decided to put a lot of things together and do this lecture because we need to take our mind back. A lot of people is getting angry about what's going on out here. I'm angry as well, but we need to take our mind back before we go to any war. We need economics build up, and we need to get things in place before we have our own military. We need to get all that together. But if you go to war and you do not have your mind, you have an enemy's mind right now, because America built you up to be who you are if you wasn't raised conscious, you know what I'm saying? But let's get into this though. Take Your Mind Back lecture part 1. But first I would like to start off with talking about we leave nothing for our children when we pass away, for the next generation to come. We leave no solutions, no platforms for the next generation, because if the last generation left something for us, we wouldn't have to start from scratch. We wouldn't be in the same situation they was in the 60s. You know what I'm saying? Did nobody get taught to build their own business? Nobody was really taught to take care of your people. As a black culture, we was all taught to be for ourselves. Look out for yourself and your little sister, you know? That's a must. You look out for your family first, but as a culture, we need to look out for each other, and that's how other cultures get along, work together, and succeed. And that's why we in the situation we in, because we do not have our minds. We need to take our minds back so we can work together and start building something. If every generation left something for the next generation, you would not feel like you're in this world alone. The reason some people may feel like they're in this world alone is because within our culture, we have been taught every man for themselves rule, like I just said. And we have not been taught to work together as a culture. All right, so now let's get into this lecture. I've been thinking about doing this for a while, finally doing this right now, so it might not be perfect, might stumble on some words like I just did, but hey, the knowledge got to get out there. I got to aware my people in the community, because I don't think people's taking it serious when they just see it so far away. It don't seem reality if it's not right there, you know, like with everything that's going on. People see it, they hurting, but when it hit right there in their city, when they feel like it could be them next, that's when they pay attention, you know. So ancestors and the power of God has guided me to do this video, part 1, you know. So it's a war on your mind. If you do not take your mind back and think for yourself without mainstream media and government's opinions and people that follow government, you would be a slave on the plantation being controlled by information that is misleading you, you know. So let's talk about that for a second. Now, if you watch the news and you take everything they're saying as truth, then you are taking it as your reality. If you do not research the information you get, you're just taking everything as reality, and it might not be facts. So we want facts before we start reacting. You know what I'm saying? And your enemy will not give you facts. They are mind controlling. All right, so let's keep going. I want to start off talking about taking your minds back and thinking for ourselves, and not letting people tell us what is truth, but seeking truth for ourselves. Now let me give an example. When we have conversations with friends at work or conversations with our relatives, and they giving information, it's just water cooler information. Like, say somebody just came in from outside and they say the sky's purple, and you just say, oh, the sky's purple, and you start spreading that information without researching it. Now you're spreading information that's not a fact. You need to research things for yourself. Once again, that's what this Take Your Mind Back lecture is about. So that's why we need to take our minds back. That's very important. That's why they say a mind is a terrible thing to waste. All right? Now, most people get their knowledge from water cooler conversations that they accept as reality, but no facts. So the solution to that is research facts, not just word of mouth information. All right. Now, let's talk about the news. When watching the news, they tell us all this information leading us to believe that it's true. Now, remember, false information can put a person in a state of fear. Okay. False information can be used to control the way people think, but those false tales can be broken if you only seek the truth for yourself. Now, how can false information be used to control the way you think? Now, let's talk about that. Example, when someone lies about who they are or what they did, and you do not have proof of the truth, the purpose of that information they are giving you is to control the way you think. You feel me? Now, once they control the way you think or what to think, it is easy for them to put you in the situation they want you in. All right? Now, let me take a quick break, get some water. So in the meantime, Community Unite, you know. I have an organization called Community Unite. We have donations for people for learning materials, reading comprehension books, math comprehension books. Hit us up for that. We'll mail them out. Take copies of the worksheets. Keep your kids, your children's skills tight during the summer. Don't let them just play all the time. Now let's get back into it. Contact number for Community Unite is 913-602-0078. Now let's talk about first impressions. Speaking of how to think and what to think, let's talk about first impressions. 9 times out of 10, you will remember the first time you did something, ate something, first school teacher maybe. Now, when you're introduced to something for the first time, that's the only way you can see it until you learn more about it or until you find a different way how to do it. Now, let me say that again if that didn't make sense. When you are introduced to something for the first time, that's the only knowledge you have about that until you learn more about it or learn a different way how to do it. Now let me give an example. You may not understand this because I'm about to give an example of something I learned. Stripping floors. Now, when somebody presented stripping floors to me, they filled up a bucket, 32-barrel trash can of stripper, and just picked up buckets, dumped it on the floor. Now, that was my first time stripping floors. I thought that was how you do it, but that was the wrong way. But that was the way I did it every time I stripped the floor. But it wasn't the right way, but that was my first impression on doing it. So that was all I knew until I learned the right way to do it. Now, that's my example on first impressions, all right? Now, the most effective way to program a person is when they're young. So, first impressions. Now, we're going to stay on that right now. This is why public schools allow government workers to come into the classroom and talk to the children to impose false image to the children in return for children's trust. First impressions now, all right? When children trust them, they like them, they will look up to them, they will want to be like them, they will see no wrongdoing in this person's action even though they were a witness to this person's wrongdoing, but the so-called role model would justify his or her actions by saying things like, God allowed it, so it's meant to be, you know? So be careful who you let present first impressions to your children, okay? Send them off to people so you can go kick it. Make sure you know them. Make sure these people is very trustable, you know? Because we got to start sticking together. Even though our people ain't right, we need to help them take their mind back so we can operate with them. We can't link up with enemy minds because that's going to defeat us, you know? That's going to infiltrate us. All right? Now, you are your child's first and only true teacher. But we continue to allow the government system to teach our children and present to them first impressions that could be addictive or mind controlling. So that's how we need to take our mind back. Once again, so we can help our children and not pass this poison mind down to our children, all right? Now, when you have children and you do not plan on being a role model for your children, blame yourself when you cannot control your child, all right? Because your child is looking up to you. You are your child's first and only true teacher. So make sure we raise our children right so we will not mislead them, okay? Now, if you continue to display bad behavior in front of your child, don't be mad when your child relives your bad behavior, okay? So once again, we need to stick together and be careful what we present to our children and be careful who we allow to present first impressions to our children, all right? Now, the solution is deal with the cause, not just the cure. Now, the Susan G. Komen is dealing with the cure. But wouldn't it be better to deal with the cause so we wouldn't have to go through it in the first place? So that's what we got to start doing, dealing with the cause and not just the cure, okay? Now, that's the end of that's the end of part 1 of this Take Your Mind Back lecture, all right? Now, the solutions I would say that should come out of this video would be teach your child culture first. We are too far behind to put other races before our own, okay? Now, get facts from researching and not just word of mouth or friendly conversations, all right? Don't let mainstream media tell you what is true. News, reality shows, your rap music, because all of that is just entertainment. Or you could call it infotainment, some people may call it, all right? Now, teach your children that before they decide to bring a life into this world, they must accomplish goals. That could benefit their child as well as their spouse and their self. Do not have sex because your rap music encourages it or your R&B music. Okay, now, next video, part 2, will be touching on government mind control as well as the food mind control and a little bit more. All right, my name is Serious Mike. Welcome to Community Unite, Soldier for the People. We got to stick together and please join together. All right, we got to work together. If you don't, you're not focused. It's going to defeat us. Ashe.